District of Sports. I'm Stuart Gerbo. A reminder to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Just search District of Sports on your favorite podcast platforms and check out WashingtonTimes.com/sports to find all of our sports coverage. When you think of golfing destinations across the United States, it's likely Florida, Arizona, and other Sunbelt locales are the first to come to mind. But closer to home, Virginia is quickly becoming a must-see golf capital. After hosting the Solheim Cup and the first U.S. victory in the cross-Atlantic women's match play event since 2017, this past September, courses across the Commonwealth are drawing a lot of attention, also correlating with an uptick in more people playing the game of golf. In 2020, the National Golf Foundation counted 24.8 million people that played some form of golf across the country. By 2023, that number had increased to 45 million. That includes 6.3 million Americans ages 18 to 34, the largest demographic, and 3.4 million golfers playing on a course for the very first time. Virginia's tourism department now puts out a golf directory, and the course on the cover is one of those places seeing the sports boom, Keswick Hall, a short drive from the Beltway in Charlottesville. And the director of its Full Cry golf course, Rob McNamara, knows the ins and outs of the golf world probably like no one else in Virginia. Among his many accolades, Rob is a former U.S. Open qualifier at the age of 16, a PGA Middle Atlantic Professional of the Year, a three-time All-American and SEC Freshman and Player of the Year at LSU, and a member of the Kentucky Golf Hall of Fame. Joining me on District of Sports is a winner of 75 tournaments in his golf career, a former Golf Digest State Teacher of the Year in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the General Manager and Director of Golf at Keswick Hall, Rob McNamara. Rob, it's good to see you.
George, nice to see you. Thank you for having me as your guest. I'm delighted to be here.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. We get to talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts, and that's golf, which we're seeing an uptick in terms of interest and rounds played, and the people who maybe who maybe didn't grow up with the game now coming out and heading to courses all across the country. You spent a lifetime in the game of golf, including much of it in Virginia. Are you seeing that interest and trend through your experience in golf increase?
Absolutely. I think I sit a little bit here in Virginia in a microcosm of great golf courses and cool venues and resources and retirees. So we're always going to get probably more than our fair share of the action. But comparing apples to apples, watching what took place, and I think COVID gets a lot of the credit for it. I think that it was probably not as bad as everybody wanted to paint it out to be. From the overbuild. I mean, let's think about some statistics. From 1980 to 1990, there was 1,000 golf courses that were built in the United States. From 1990 to 2000, there was basically a course a day. There were 3,500 golf courses built. From 2000 to 2020, 20 years, they closed 2,000 golf courses in the United States. And in the last 4 years, 350 golf courses have been built. And that's the interesting thing. So those golf courses started being revised and being built or are currently under construction even before the COVID thing hit. So it had probably bottomed out and was starting to get the economies of it to turn back around. I think that now they're saying statistically, I'm not really a stat guy, even though I gave you a bunch of numbers. I like just betting racetrack math a little bit. I just sometimes will pick a horse because it looks good. I don't always have the data, but you're seeing higher end golf courses for the most part being built right now. You're going to see a bunch of new courses. So it's forcing everybody to up their game. Of course, you have the Tiger Woods lagging effect still. The man is still super popular, and there's so much attention brought to golf from media. Interest goes up, courses go up, play goes up, and then this thing called COVID comes along, and bingo, everybody now had the time, and they give it a go, and there's lots of instruction online, and it's cool. It's in movies, it's in television. It's, golf is sort of changed, and any athlete will tell you it's the hardest sport you play. So they go and play and they draw more attention. They put it more on the Instagram and more on the TikTok and the Twitter and the Vines and all these things that my kids do that I don't do. And anyway, there you have it. You have interest. And from a pure math point of view, we're seeing some places might see 100% growth in rounds of golf in the last 5 years. That is probably not uncommon. Um, we are right sizing our activity here at Keswick Hall with Full Cry. That's the name of our course, Full Cry. It's kind of pays homage to the fox hunting experience here in Central Virginia. But we've seen a big uptick, and we still don't have too much play. That's the beautiful thing about a premier property like this. We don't have the pressure of having to overload it. We want the experience to be exceptional. We have a really good golf course. It's really, really good condition. And it's a great hotel that's extraordinary. And so people come and play. And so we're busy. I mean, we're going to do 75 players today.
That's such a perfect segue, because you hear so much about, and I do this myself, where, going on destination type of trips, whether it's South Carolina or Florida to play certain courses, Arizona and Scottsdale, there's all these great places in America to play golf. And Virginia, maybe in the past years, hasn't emphasized or hasn't been a part of that conversation, but I think it is now. And you guys are leading the way in a lot of aspects, so much so that I was out of town and I stopped off at a rest area down off of I-64. And I was going through the brochures, and on the front of the Virginia Golf Directory this year, I'm looking and I'm like, that looks familiar to me. And it's Keswick Hall and Full Cry. And I'm like, I just stared at it for a minute. Like, I know what that is. And it's right smack on the front of, Virginia's golf directory for this year. And so it seems like the Commonwealth and just you guys in terms of golf professionals and golf directors, there's a lot more emphasis on, hey, we've got courses here not only for folks in this region, which is the Baltimore DC region that plays there. You got the Richmond, the Hampton Roads region folk, maybe even folks from Charlotte coming up to play at your course and these other courses. It feels like Virginia now is gaining some traction. Like, yeah, put Virginia on your list as a place to go in the game of golf.
Oh, that's 100% true. There's lots of really good golf courses in Virginia. There are a lot of golf courses, period. And once you get away from the Beltway, I mean, if people are willing to go to some of those other golf courses, why wouldn't you come down here and stay a night or two and really experience luxury? Our golf course is a Pete Dye golf course. It's had some renovations adjusted to it. It's gotten even better since the original opening in 2015. We've made some meaningful tweaks to the holes. And if you haven't played here in the last 2.5 years, you will be like blown away at the changes we've made and the condition of the course. It's phenomenal difference, way different, much more entertaining, much more relevant to play. It's user friendly, yet it's challenging. I mean, we host the U.S. Open qualifier. We're going to host the Women's State Amateur for the 100th edition of the Women's State Amateur next year. I mean, it's a relevant course. It's not a bunny track, but someone that's just a novice to golf or a beginner can still play the appropriate tees and have a really great time and experience here. So, and then you look in this area, I mean, frankly, I was the golf pro at Farmington, which is an incredible place in its own right, very different than Keswick Hall, but a spectacular place. It's across town in the same county. I was there 27 years as the golf pro. It's pretty damn awesome. You've got Wintergreen Resort, which is 45 minutes from here. You had 45 holes there. You got Spring Creek, which is now private. That's 10-minute drive from here. Our public golf courses, the city course, is a really good city course. You have another privately owned public course. You have Glenmore Country Club down the street, just here in the Keswick area. It's also a very nice golf course, a nice club. So the demographics don't match up for our community down here. And I think that's a function of so many retirees. You have more affluence in Albemarle County than you do most places. I think the National Golf Foundation might say that you can have a course for every 50,000 people. We have 150,000 in the county, but we have about 7 or 8 golf courses right here. So, and they're all doing well. Everybody is doing well. They're all really nice, great golf courses and market appropriate. So I encourage someone that's listening to this in the Mid-Atlantic area to come on down, and we'll get that red carpet going and we'll leave the lights on for you.
Absolutely. And there's so much to love about Fulcry and about this course. It's been a top 50 best resort courses in America, according to Golf Week, top 5 best courses you can play in Virginia. And you hit the nail on the head. I'm a high handicapper. I struggle with my slice and my fade a little bit, but still approachable. I played from the Keswick tees and right smack in the middle of the group there. And I'm not a 7,000 yard guy. I'm not really even a 6,600 yard guy, but the yardage was still approachable. The holes were gettable. It was the rough's going to penalize you. Nice big Bermuda grass fairways, but the rough's going to penalize you if you get over there in it. It's beautiful rough, but it's going to penalize you. And it's so for anybody in terms of the people that I saw out there, folk, senior citizens out there golfing, younger folks like myself golfing, women, get a whole, gamut of people. It's from pro to amateur to novices, everybody in between. It's really playable, which when you hear Pete Dye, it'll scare you off a little bit. Like, you know about Harbortown, about Kiowa and just what he's done. And it's fun walking around because I get some of those touches when I was on the course with some of the bunkering and some of the contours and everything. Like, okay, yeah, that's a Pete Dye touch. That's a Pete Dye touch, but it's far less intimidating than the name Pete Dye would suggest on the course.
Yeah, Pete Dye did 82 golf courses. This was the 81st golf course. In just kind of broad strokes here, the first 30 courses that Pete Dye did were the most difficult for the most part that he built. The next 30 kind of watered it down a little bit, and the last 20 were supposed to be the easier ones. So what has happened is that Pete Dye had a few folks that worked for him that were his understudies, and Pete Dye passed away a few years ago. And some of these understudies have created their own business by going through and basically doing some renovations and add-ons. Well, that group in that last 20 that I was referring to, the more benign courses have sort of asked for more Pete Dye special effects. And that's where I would encourage someone to come see what we've done when I made reference earlier in the conversation to adding some bells and whistles to give it more of a Pete Dye flair. And I think people are really going to like it. They're really going to like it.
And can you touch on for me some of I love the reclaimed materials around the course, just some of the retaining walls and how those are structured and what was done to kind of repurpose some materials that are already existing from the Arnold Palmer design. So it's got that little bit of that DNA in that history of it, but fully dyed, but also with Palmer having designed the track renovating the track in the early 90s. But you reusing some of those materials as you go around was really cool to see that along most of the holes.
So just for quick context for the listeners, this was originally the Keswick Country Club that was built in 1946. And then it evolved, and then it was closed for 8 years, and then it was rebuilt as an Arnold Palmer course in 91. It opened in 93. And then in 2013, the family that I worked for, their group decided to get Pete Dye, and they redesigned the course completely. Same basic footprint, not 100%, but similar, but completely redid the golf course. They had cart paths, and they're such great people. They're into making a difference in the world for a lot of people. And they thought, well, you know what? Why would we, have this expense and be wasteful? They chose to take the cart path and use that as a retaining wall. And it was one of those stamped colored concrete that you would see sometimes more expensive. And so it's kind of that rusty brown that looks like Virginia clay, Virginia mud, and it just fit perfectly. So they have that all around the golf course that helped them build the tee boxes in some places, retaining walls, as you refer to, around some of the ponds and lakes. So instead of railroad ties, it has that. We have added a lot of railroad ties and some planks and stuff to also give it even more of the Pete Dye texture that I think he's known for. And some people call it having the 3-dimensional look. If you hit the railroad ties, we call it the 4-dimensional look. You'll get the sound with it. So it's all fun, we have fun here.
I love that. I asked Bubba Pulley, your head pro, who's excellent for this question, I'll ask you the same one for his favorite holes on the course. And he likes the closing stretch, 16, 17, 18, and just the setback nature of that tee box on 17. And there's an old railroad car going across the valley to get you to the tee box, and super big. And you just kind of pop up off the green. And then here comes the resort into full view as you play 18 and come back home. Is that the same stretch for you that you like, or are there any other holes that stick out to you that are some of your favorite?
Well, there are so many pretty views. Again, for the listeners, they can't see. There's a photo behind me. It shows you the photo that's taken from the 18th tee, which shows you this vista. You can be sitting in the clubhouse or in Marigold Dining Room. We have a great dining experience at Jean George property. If you're a foodie, you got to come here and eat this food because it's world class. I could take a shower in a shotgun barrel when I started working here, and now look at me. I mean, it's all good fun. I'm kidding, but you can see 10 golf holes from up there on the vista. Looking back the other way from looking at the property from the 18th tee is spectacular. But there are many other what I would call signature holes. The 14th hole with the way that we did the bulkhead. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at the Blue Mountain. It's the highest point between, that mountain is the highest point. Got to go to Portugal. It's all downhill, across the pond, back uphill to some mountain in Portugal that I've yet to see. But so you're looking at that mountain. It's gorgeous. That's a beautiful golf hole for kind of a short, simple hole, but it's created this whole look with the bulkhead railroad ties that go down the fairway and a big bunker that's got that in there. That's a great look. I think the 5th hole is the hardest golf hole in Albemarle County. A great golf hole, so hard. I'm not saying I like it, but it's so much fun to play because if you make a par on that hole, you feel like you've really done some good. What we did to the 3rd hole, we took a nothing golf hole and we made it into something really special. And I would really encourage people just to come see the 3rd hole. So we've got a lot of really fun, cool holes here. I would hate to pick one. And, of course, I'm trying to sell the place. So you can't hold that against me, but I do love this place.
Absolutely not. And as we wind down here, Rob, perfect transition. How can people come down and visit and play this course just outside of Charlottesville there?
Well, theoretically, there are 3 ways to visit the property. 2 that I would recommend. Number 1, I'll just leave with, we have a great membership program. We have, you can become a member of Keswick Club, and it is based on where you live. We use a kind of a bullseye effect that Keswick Hall is in the middle of the bullseye. If you live within 50 miles, then that would be a Keswick membership. If you live between 50 and 100 miles, then that's a Commonwealth membership. If 100 to 300 miles, that's a Mid-Atlantic. And if you live outside of 300 miles, that is a national membership. So we have fun naming the memberships after the geography of that. And it's obviously the further away you get, the less expensive it is. So someone up in Washington, D.C., they would basically be a Mid-Atlantic member. It's very reasonable. At least I think it's reasonable. And for what you get, I know we would love to have people join the club. But obviously, if it were me, I'd say, let's try before we buy. And, I don't buy a Rolls Royce, even when it's a Rolls Royce, without getting in the car. So come down here and stay the night, stay the weekend, stay a week, stay a month. We'd love to have people come experience the whole property. And that's another great way to see it. You go to Keswick.com. That's our website. You can see our rates. They're a moving target, just like every other hotel in the world. Sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's less. But I will tell you, it's a first-class, incredible hotel to stay in. And so I would encourage you to come that way. And then finally, we do allow some unaccompanied play. It's much more expensive. The best way to do it is to actually come and enjoy staying here. So stay or join. We'll leave the lights on for you. And if you're my friend, you'll never starve. So come on down.
I love it. I'll get you out of here on this one. You've played with, met, interacted with, know so many people in the world of golf, and many of the greats. It's probably hard to pin down one story or person, but is there one of your favorite people that you've played with in the history of golf, whether it was your playing time or in your time now in more of a administrative role that always sticks out in your mind?
Well, I mean, the novelty effect. I hate to think that the coolest thing I ever did was when I was 17 years old. I qualified for the U.S. Open. That is kind of a cool thing that I will admit. At the time, I was so disappointed I didn't win the U.S. Open. I mean, I wish I had the confidence in myself now that I did. I swear, Father Time will beat you up. But anyway, I played practice rounds with Johnny Miller, 2 practice rounds with him, 1 with Gary Player, and 9 holes with Arnold Palmer.
Oof.
And I went to all those people I'm 17 years old. I'm in senior in high school. And I went up to them and introduced myself during the 3 practice round days during the week and said, could I play golf with you in the practice round? And every one of them, I mean, what were they going to say? You can't tell a 17-year-old kid no. So they all said yes. They were all so gracious, and those still are pretty cool experiences in my life that I got to enjoy. So like my golf game, like a lot of the horses I bet, I started fast and faded.
I love it. Rob McNamara, the general manager and director of golf at Keswick Hall. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining me.
George, thank you so much, and look forward to having you back and visit another time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And joining me now is the general manager of Keswick Hall, Louis Shapazian. Louis, I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, George.
You've got a few months under your belt now in Central Virginia and at Keswick. You've had a pretty distinguished and experienced career across the hospitality landscape. How has it been for you to be in the Commonwealth now and to be in Virginia?
It's been so great, George. Thank you so much. I am completely enamored with this part of the country. The mountains, the hillsides, this beautiful country club that we are a part of, Full Cry, and the hall itself is just incredible. The people, they're so welcoming, and there's so much to offer from this area, the history, the wine region, and the hospitality. I love it so far. I'm having a great time.
Awesome. And you mentioned, of course, golf is the highlight and maybe traditionally what Keswick has been known for, and it's obviously something that I love as well. But it probably goes a little bit maybe unnoticed. No, I don't want to say unnoticed, but hidden sometimes. As there's really something for everybody to do. The tennis complex just recently renovated, clay courts, pretty revolutionary. Designed by Hartrue, which is a company we know in the DC region well that does a lot of courts here, and it's actually based in Central Virginia there. Pickleball, aquatics. I mean, there really is something for everybody under the sun. It's not exclusively, historically has been known for golf, but I wouldn't call it exclusively a golf resort anymore, would you say?
Exactly. That's actually perfectly said. Along with the golf course, we have so much to offer. We have a holistic spa that is, on the premises, everything from massages to facials. We do some sound bath sessions to really help kind of ground yourself. Especially doing that on a full moon evening is something to be said. It's relaxing. It's kind of cathartic. It's, a switch in a mindset. And then we have 2 swimming pools, one of which is year round, an infinity pool right off the back of the property overlooking Full Cry golf course, heated year round, of course. And then you have our kind of culinary scene. We have Marigold by Chef Jean-Georges, and it's one of his, only restaurants in the region, the only one in Virginia. And it features so much from the local area, especially from Oakdale, which is our farm just right down the road.
I think people maybe historically have, in its past iterations, country club and different things over the years might have that reservation like, how do I get there or how do I go? But it really, in part of one of the things that I love when being there is that you've got people from everywhere. I met people that were coming in for a vacation from out of town or out of state. And then you've got people local to the Charlottesville area or they're UVA grads, a couple people from our neck of the woods here in Northern Virginia and DC. So it's not just for people that are members or anything. It's literally anybody in the region, anybody in the state can come and enjoy Keswick in their own way.
Exactly. Actually, we're in a really great location. We're about a little over 2 hours from DC, about an hour from Richmond. We have Charlottesville Airport right in town, and there are direct flights to LaGuardia, to Chicago, to Dulles, of course, some of the southern states like Atlanta and Charlotte. Really convenient, small feel, but you can get right out of town real quick, as well as the train has access right here in downtown Charlottesville. It really brings everybody in, especially with having University of Virginia here, and a really strong medical and educational kind of fields here in town. It's a great location, and it's kind of one that is often overlooked. But I've fallen in love with it, and it has so much to offer, and it's really convenient.
Probably a hard question to answer, but in that vein, do you have a favorite spot on the property that you like to go to or just stare out at sometimes and just take everything in?
Absolutely. Right from the Horizon Pool, out overlooking the Fulkai Golf Course. It's so incredible, whether it's winter, spring, summer. My favorite is the fall, when the fairways start to go dormant and you have the bright green rough and the dormant fairways and kind of the broom sage kind of going gold in the background. It's incredible, and it's grounding. So much nature in the area. It's incredible.
And tell me what, in terms of we're into winter now, you can pretty much play golf year round, give or take a snowstorm here, but that's rare for our neck of the woods these days. But upcoming and what's next in these winter months and coming into the spring that is going on across the property?
Absolutely. So, for the holidays, of course, we have some activations, your typical wreath making and your gingerbread house making, things like that to activate some family time. As we go through the winter, we are starting a partnership with Valmont Skincare, which is a Swiss company known for, incredible products. So they are now featured in our spa, especially in our facial lines, as well as the full line for retail. But coming in the winter months for a hydrating facial is something that I recommend to everybody. The winter is rough on our skin, and a product like Valmont really seeps in and really shows kind of the benefits of high quality skincare. So that is coming up for the winter months, as well as other activations. We are looking for 2025 in general to be focused on bringing our members and guests together, as well as the community. So we have some grilling events on the schedule, as well as some holiday events such as 4th of July and those other peak times to really kind of activate this beautiful space and bring people in from everywhere. That's our plan.
I know, winter, we're not even actually to winter yet, but people in Virginia like looking ahead to spring so much, and it's such a pivotal and important season across the state, and it's that central part of the state is beautiful and gets a little bit more warmth than we do up here in the northern part of the state. So close it out with this for people that want to come, want to visit, want to see everything that Keswick has to offer. Best way to do that, places to go for more information, and how can they get in touch and interact with you guys and come see the property?
Absolutely. Keswick Hall is great any time of the year, but especially, in the winter, it's a relaxing time to kind of unwind with either a partner, your family, even a group. I recommend coming down. The golf course is open year round with exception of any snow days or Christmas. So come down, play a few holes, relax, go to the spa. You can check out some of our kind of upcoming events and beautiful photos on our Instagram account, and just get engaged with that and really get the feel of what the property is like. It is truly like no other. And it's one that brings in kind of the surrounding nature, the history, and the really strong wine and culinary background of the area all together into one beautiful location that is not to be missed.
I appreciate it. Louis Shapazian, the general manager of Keswick Hall. Thank you so much for your time, your hospitality, and hope to see you soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much, George. Look forward to seeing you soon.
My thanks to Rob, Louis, and everyone at Keswick Hall for their time and their hospitality. To check out Full Cry and everything else at Keswick, visit keswick.com and check out at Keswick_Hall on social media. And a reminder to find the District of Sports wherever you get your podcasts. Just search District of Sports in your favorite podcast app, and find us on social media at Wash Time Sports and myself at Gerbo3. I'm George Gerbo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.